Okay, I'm clearly not gonna get everything covered in one video, so I'm gonna split up the video in several parts. So subscribe and turn your notification on so that you can get notified when I upload each parts of the video. With regards to choosing the doctor, I did not choose my doctor during my conversation with the coordinator, she told me that I should go with Dr. Potparik, if that's how his name is pronounced, Zoran Potparik, because he's more experienced with skinnier patients. Dr. Potparik, he has a Instagram page and he also has a YouTube page. On his YouTube page, there was one video of him doing a BBL procedure, and the patient was also a skinny patient, and in the end she ended up looking really good. So I decided, okay, yeah, I'll definitely go with Dr. Patparik. Initially I thought about going with Dr. Sofers because on CG Cosmetics page, which is one of the reasons why I got so many messages in my DM, they don't have a lot of BBL pictures. So when mine got posted, clearly after that one comment, everyone was coming to me, and I wanted to go with Dr. Silvis initially because a lot of the pictures that are on their page were work of Dr. Silvers, but the coordinator assured me that I'll be happy with Dr. Potparik. Fingers crossed. Again, I'm very skinny, and again, I'm not asking you to do much to my butt, if anything to my butt. I just want you to take the fat out of my waist. I did mention that I did got True Sculpt 3D prior to scheduling my BBL, and after the True Sculpt, after 3 months, I spent $2,500 on the True Sculpt. After the 3 months, I didn't see that much of a difference. The doctor that I went to, she's convinced that I lost a lot of fats from the areas that we did the True Sculpt on, but I wasn't convinced that there was any difference. I was mainly concerned about the fat that was in my waistline and my stomach. There were several times that I took pictures and I didn't post my pictures on social media because I had some extra fat, you know, showing in my waistline. Or if I'm sitting down, I wear a lot of crop tops, so if I was sitting down, you know, you could see some extra flesh hanging over, which I wasn't necessarily proud of. But I wish I'd known, or I wouldn't have known what my results was gonna be. So at this point, I must say that I'm happy because I do look natural, and my butt doesn't, it's not huge. I do look natural and I appreciate that. Anyways, I wasn't the one who chose my doctor. My doctor was recommended, and again, I didn't care too much for his personality, or maybe he has a good personality, but that day he was in a rush. I'd like to touch on what I did in terms of preparing for my surgery. As I mentioned before in part 2 of the video, I didn't have much time to prepare for my surgery because after contacting CG what's wrong with me? After contacting CG Cosmetics, they were able to put me on the schedule very quickly, so I didn't have much time to prepare for the surgery. So I went on Amazon, I bought my foam board, I bought my faja, I bought a urinal, and what else did I buy? And I bought the booty pillow. And within the 3 weeks prior to my surgery, I was at McDonald's almost every day buying vanilla shake and large french fries. I had a hernia repair. I had an OT, and obviously I wasn't comfortable with my belly button, so I had my belly button cut. I did breast reduction because my boobs were much huger, and from looking at my boobs, no one can tell that I even had any surgery on my boobs unless I tell them. So I did have, again, I'm very, you know, I have no problem with sharing what I've gotten done, but I didn't want to tell my husband that I was gonna do a BBL because it would have been something that he would have discouraged, because he's in the gym every day. So clearly he would have, all the times that I've mentioned before that, okay, I should go do something to get rid of this fat, he was like, okay, you need to go to the gym. So in preparation for my surgery, I was in McDonald's almost every day buying French fries and buying shake. And there were several times when I couldn't get to go to McDonald's, and I'd ask him. One time in particular, I asked him if he could pick me up a French fries and a shake, and he came home with a salad. And I was so disappointed. I'm like, I don't need a salad. I told you what I wanted. But he was like, you're getting fats. You don't need no shake and no French fries. But obviously I wasn't going to tell him that I was going to get a surgery because I knew he wasn't for it. So I lied and I told him I'm going to go on vacation. But I wasn't going on vacation. I clearly was going to do my surgery. I remember when I came back, it wasn't obvious that I did anything to my body. And I'm not good at keeping secrets. So I was like, ooh, I have something to tell you. I did my butt. And he's like, ew. I was like, whatever. So he was like, oh, no wonder every time you FaceTime, that's while you were on your vacation, you look sad. Like the vacation was, yeah. So yeah. So I bought all the things that I needed for my surgery, packed my suitcase, and I was out. I went to Miami the day before my surgery. The person from the recovery house picked me up and she dropped me to my pre-op. Went in for pre-op. She basically asked me a couple questions. She checked my weight and we took some more pictures, and that was basically it for the pre-op. She told me what time I should get there for surgery. And yeah, prior to my surgery I weighed 122 pounds. The day of my surgery I weighed 142 or 145 pounds, I think. So I did gain a little bit of weight before my surgery. So to prepare for my surgery, I spent $400 to fly from Connecticut to Miami. My flight was $400. I'm trying to give you guys a breakdown of how much money I spent to prepare for the surgery. I spent $400 for my flight. Between the booty pill, the urinal, I probably spent another $200. I spent $145 for the recovery, and besides whatever CG Cosmetic charged for the surgery, I spent close to $2,000. I did spend $4,000 for my surgery. So altogether, I would say I spent like $6,000 for the entire thing. So let's talk about the day of surgery. On the day of surgery, they said you need to get there at least 30 minutes before the surgery, because if you get there late, they're going to cancel the procedure. You won't get to do it, and it's non-refundable, so you have to reschedule. So I didn't want that, so we showed up to the hospital pretty early. When I got there, they had me take off my clothes, put on a surgical gown, take a urinal sample to check if I'm pregnant. Then I was sent to this tiny little room. The nurse from the recovery house, she took my belongings and she took them back to the recovery house for me. It so happened that after I took on my contact lenses, I can barely see with my contact lenses. So after I took on my contact lenses, my phone fell and my screen broke. Anyways, clearly I'm anxious about other things. I wasn't worried about my phone. So after all that, I went into this waiting room. I sat in the waiting room for a while, maybe like 30 minutes. Then the anesthesiologist came. She came and she asked me some questions. A few minutes after she left, I met Dr. Podparic. I don't know if I should say I didn't care much for his personality, but I didn't feel like he spent a lot of time with me in terms of asking me what I really wanted. He didn't look at any, some people have some pictures that they taken and they show the doctors to say, okay, that's what I want to look like when I'm done. We didn't do any of that. We didn't even get into much details about what my desires were. When he was leaving the room, I said to him, okay, can you make sure that when I wake up, my waist is tiny, even if my butt is not big? So he said, yeah, I can do that. Anyways, after he left the room, there was a bed in the waiting room that I was in. I sat on the bed for maybe like 30 minutes until I started getting frustrated. Then eventually I went and I knocked on the door, and there was a lady in the room, and I was like, I'm cold, can I get a blanket? So she brought me a blanket, and you know, I lie down on the bed, and I felt like I probably fell asleep for like 30 minutes. Then eventually Dr. After being there for over an hour, I went back and I asked the nurse, can you check to see how much longer I'm gonna have to wait before surgery? And she said, okay, give me a couple minutes. She left, and then she came back and she said, oh, I'm so sorry, honey. They love to call you honey. She said, your doctor is still in a surgery, but he's finishing up, so I'm thinking within a couple minutes it will be your turn. So I was like, okay. So I went back and I sat down. I didn't like that. The room was cold, and you know, you're there for surgery, you just want to get this thing over with and done. But that wasn't the case. Maybe after waiting like an hour or hour and a half, eventually the anesthesiologist came back and she was like, let's go. And I was like, yes, time to go. So again, I was there. She, you know, started putting the thing on your arm, wrapping my arm, setting up the machine and whatnot. And again, I tried to keep my eyes open because I was trying to keep myself from falling asleep. But eventually I get knocked out. Before I know it, in what seemed like 30 minutes, she was like, hey boo, it's time to go. I was like, am I done? And she said, yes, you're done. All I remember was I was shaking like crazy. I was like shaking. And I remember, obviously at this point I was still drugged up, so I was really shaking. I was like, I'm shaking, I'm shaking. I'm like, is everything okay? I was really shaking and trembling. So I was asking her, is this normal? I'm like, okay, my blood sugar is low, because that's what happens. I'm slightly anemic, so whenever I get hungry, like my nerves, I'm very fragile during that point, and I can be very angry when I get hungry. So I was like, I need to eat something. She was like, you're gonna be okay, honey. So she took me outside, and I got wheeled out in a wheelchair, and I went in the car. It was two of us that went to surgery that morning. So there was this other girl that we went in together for surgery. She was sitting in the front of the car, and then I was lying down on the back seat of the car. Anyway, when I went to the recovery house, I started walking around immediately, because all the videos that I watch, and even the doctor, he did encourage that, you know, after surgery I try to walk around as much as possible. So I was walking around. I tried to turn my phone on, and my phone wouldn't come on. Remember, I'm in Miami by myself. No one knows. Just a few people knew that I was in Miami to do they knew that I was in Miami, but no one knew what I was in Miami to do. My phone wouldn't turn on. There were two nurses at the recovery house, and one of them, the one that was making the trips back and forth, she said that she would try to take me to the mall if I want to try to get my phone fixed. But she couldn't, because she had to go back. Before I know it, it was getting dark, and she had to go back to the hospital to pick up another girl that had gotten surgery that day. So I decided that I needed to get my phone fixed. So I booked an Uber. I booked an Uber the day of surgery. After surgery, I booked an Uber and I went to the mall, because I was determined to get my phone fixed. So I was in the mall. I'm in Miami. I forget the name of the mall, but it's a very big mall. So I was walking around, and I was determined to get my phone fixed that night. So I went in the mall, and I was in the Apple store for almost 2 hours. The day of surgery, I was in the Apple store for almost 2 hours. Eventually, they took my phone and they gave me a brand new phone. So I had to stay at the mall for maybe like another 30 minutes to get my phone set up, and then I was able to book a Uber to get back to the recovery house. So day one of surgery, I did so well. My pain level was, I wasn't feeling any pain. I was a little bit uncomfortable because obviously changes were made to my body, so it wasn't the same. So I wasn't feeling any pain. I was just uncomfortable. As for the recovery house is so nice. They give you meals several times throughout the day, and they also offer massages. CG Cosmetic offer massages. I think now they're doing a promotion where they give you 3 massages for $150. At the recovery house, they were charging $75 for the massage, for each massage, but I decided to get the massage at the recovery house because the day that I got there was one other girl that was getting a massage, and she told me that it's best if I get the massage at the recovery house because they spend a lot more time with you. During several of my massages at the recovery house, I fell asleep, which I'm glad. That was another reason that I was happy that I decided to do the massages at the recovery house, because they just let you sleep until you're ready to wake up. So I appreciated that. So the first day of my surgery, I tried to use the bathroom and I peed myself. So after trying to squat over the toilet, the faja that you have, it has an opening in the crotch area, but when I tried to squat over the toilet, I ended up wetting myself. To be honest, I had to sleep in the faja. I didn't wet myself entirely all the way, because as soon as the pee started coming out and I feel like I was wetting myself, I kind of held it back, and then I walked back to the room to get my urinal. So it's important to get a urinal. I'm happy I did get a urinal because there were several times during the night that I had to get up to pee, and I didn't have to leave my room. I could use the urinal. So you might need a urinal. Unfortunately, I was the only person staying in the room that I stayed, so I had the privacy of using the urinal. Plus, everyone there at the recovery house did some kind of surgery, so no one is judging you. But I'm kind of that type of person where I'm a little bit reserved in a sense. So eventually, I think it was a third day, which was a day that I was leaving. I left the recovery house the third day, to be honest, and I went to a hotel. The day I went to a hotel because one of my friend came down to help me to come back home, because I wasn't sure I would have been able to fly back home by myself.